We gotta wait for YouTube to actually kick in here. All right, hello and welcome everyone to the last edition of the Age 92 Warcast. We're talking with the leaders of Utopia today. We have a number of guests here right now ready to talk about the Age, several that are still making their way in. We've got myself, the host, Wind. We got Persian Cat, Elmo, Intrepid, Twisting, uh, Sipe, damn it, I said his name wrong again. Mansoor, Ark, Mickey, and FFW. Hopefully later we will be joined by Smiles and Redbird and possibly a couple others. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. All right, everyone, we are now in the group chat, and just so everyone who is listening in knows, you can in fact see a subtitled portion at the bottom of the screen, which is something that we're testing out. So I might actually try to use this going forward if it's possible to incorporate it somehow with the Warcasts. Hello and welcome, everyone. How is everyone today?
Great.
Good, thanks.
Good. Excited for final changes for the next age.
Yeah, and from what we
I
understand,
know, right?
hopefully, as per Utopia's usual methods, we will probably see them either Saturday night or maybe Sunday night at the latest. Isn't that right, Persian Cat?
Yep, that's the hope.
Coming soon, right?
Soon.
Yep.
Trademarked. All right, guys. So, let's talk a little bit about Age 92. What did we like about this age? Were Persian Cat's changes enough to, I don't want to say save the game, but enough to change it to the point where it might bring some players back and reinvigorate some of the older players?
Oh.
Yep, definitely. In my kingdom. There's like a lot of new players actually coming back, and they are quite happy that the game's changed quite a bit. Yeah, it was definitely a fun age for them. So
Yeah, and I think
Yeah, the changes definitely make it a little bit unique compared to past ages. I'd say it can be harder for newer players or returning players that were never like top level to actually understand what each individual thing does and how you can combine them. But it was definitely fun, just the way they did combine.
I'm a very opinionated person, but I think the intentions are good. Maybe a bit more time before to refine the final changes going into this age, but from that, the next stages and the revised changes for the next stage looks really promising going forward. I'd say.
I thought it required a lot more intel. Like you weren't sure exactly, let's just say a fairy, whether it's attacker or a thief mage. Like traditionally, you could just look at a kingdom and sort of know what their setup is, but now you actually have to do a lot more intel.
Yeah, that's the one thing.
Some of the intel was made simpler to do as well, right?
I think
I had even
the
more trouble
changes
with
was.
intel.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, continue, Shipe.
Yeah, I said I had even more problems getting intel than normal, I felt. But
Yeah,
maybe because of all the gnomes, I don't know. But I think the changes were fantastic. It was so boring with all these balanced changes, small changes. It was refreshing. We had 9 wars, and I think all of the setups that we faced in these 9 wars, everything was different. Nothing was the same. So I think it's the correct way to go.
Yeah, Mark says that changes to race.
Balance through diversity instead of balance through making it chess. I think I agree.
No, to be fair, the one thing.
Yeah, I do agree that there's a lot of diversity.
I was just gonna say the setup and the who is ahead seem to couple a lot faster than normal.
Yeah, but and one thing
that's what happens, I guess, when the net worth factor becomes so.
Yeah, and the one thing I gotta say,
if you got ahead, you got really ahead.
Exactly, and that's what I wanted to point out about 4-4.
I think doubling up the bonuses made some unbalanced things in the end.
Oh, absolutely.
As we saw with the...
Absolutely. Yeah, there was, I mean, the 4-4 proved it to us. They were able to just take the chart. I mean, I was looking at, here, let me try and start a whiteboard here. But they basically cleaned up the game. I mean, we can look at growth over the years because that data shows that information, and they're consistently the one kingdom that's always growing. After every war, they grew a bunch. At the end of the game, they grew like 35K acres or something crazy like that. Like I said in the previous video, I had to do a triple take because when I looked at the net worth variance between 4-4 and the rest of the kingdoms at the top, they weren't even registering really. Forget about range. They weren't even like 10 or 20% in range. They were less than that. So I thought my data or my math was wrong or something until I actually looked at the raw net worth numbers and I was like, holy shit. They just flew away.
But I don't think that is healthy for the game. You need to kind of condense the field so the top naturally gets more, but not on an exponential scale, quite like the opposite, like a progressive negative tax on gains.
Yeah, like it's
that happens when you war the same kingdom 3 times. So of course they will grow and go ahead. So why are we not talking about that? I mean, I don't know why you're saying that they're growing so exceptionally well. Of course they're growing. They won the same 3 kingdoms last 3 times. They were farming them 3 times. Of course they're gonna have princes and whatever they had. Why are we not talking about that?
half the kingdom was prince or princess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I bet that warbirds or other kingdoms would have caught up if they wouldn't have gotten those 2 extra wars. I mean, FFV, you're here. You can even say that was ridiculous 2 wars.
I wouldn't say ridiculous because they pretty much had to fight number 1 if they want to be number 1. So they took a shot, they missed.
Twice.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I was talking
Twice,
about there
actually.
is that if you get ahead early on, you're always ahead. Everyone else is struggling behind you and are
Yeah,
always at a disadvantage.
That's
And
the current
that-
problem with the
Yeah.
with the honor system on TMs, because once you start getting 1 honor rank ahead, you're always ahead and you're never gonna fall behind. So it all
More than farming and using your explore pool. It just takes a long time. So if you can get that big lead within a couple weeks of the end of the age, you've won. But like Barco was way ahead there for a while, and they just didn't dump their pool hoping that they would get wars, and everybody massively leapfrogged them.
Yeah.
they did get a war, but it was a tactical mistake. When they got that war, they gave away too much and they ended up losing that one.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, at the end of the day, fixed numbers, they have they can show that one side has an advantage, but how you apply the tactics and how you have the time factor of a war, and you start building it from the start, right? And you see the finish line 48 hours or maybe even further ahead in the future. How you get there and how you react to enemies' decisions, that's what gets you the honor, right? So it's a very complex game, and numbers is not everything.
Yeah, let's see how this works out here. Share my whole screen. So yeah, if you guys can see this here, this is essentially the growth in acres pattern that happened throughout the year. Now I know the colors aren't the greatest here, but if you look really closely, as I said, 4-4 is doing a nice job consistently growing, and a lot of the other top 10 kingdoms are as well. I mean, after every war, they're taking full advantage of the ceasefire. And as I said, here at the end, you can see 4-4's last growth spike here of 35K acres here around July, or, this is a little bit, this thing's behind a little bit, so it's probably actually January of year 10 where they had this spike. FFW, I'm sure you know. But yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just crazy. Some kingdoms don't even have 35,000 acres. Just saying.
Most kingdoms.
Oh, that's probably not
Yeah.
true.
Most
There's-
kingdoms don't.
Yeah. You should look at it from a percentage point of view, because 35,000 acres on 280,000 acres isn't as much as 20,000 acres on 60,000 acres.
Yeah, so
It's also effort involved, right? So if you're not having a realistic chance of growing or taking the crown, as you showed in the end there with their growth, you just don't do it. You give your kingdom leave, or you relax, or you look forward towards someone else in your range.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think during the age 4-4, I know for about one kingdom at least that tried to leapfrog ahead of them, that got stuck in the maw of 4-4 and the learns, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, let's look at their steady incline here. I mean, Syndicate was doing a pretty good job trying to keep up with them, but it looks like after this point here on year 7, they kind of lost control of the situation there. I mean, you can see that how the changes, like how people take advantage of the end of age at the end here. Warbirds took a nice little climb to take the second place land crown, or second place in the in the land title. So I mean, they were definitely a contender. I mean, I think if there was maybe an extra month or an extra week or 2 weeks in the age even, Warbirds would have had a great shot at this. And remember, Suea and Warbirds and 4-4, for all intents and purposes, we're the only unofficial undefeated, I would call them the true Eternal Warrior Kingdoms, despite my post earlier indicating everyone who did not lose a war. Definitely one of those kingdoms you should be afraid to war in the future based on these results and patterns, especially since 4-4 Emirati, or with combined with Saps, actually like won some crowns last age as well. So they did a great job there. I mean, it's no surprise because Emirati has some of the best players in the game. I mean, especially with Saps, FFW, and Evil Queen joining them this age, and whoever else was there. I mean, they have very active players, good leadership. Miner's been around forever. Dorje basically rewrote Utopia. He has a bot that can essentially play the game. I mean, he could replace his entire kingdom if they aren't already. I'm sure he could set up a script where they just follow orders. That's just how it is. I mean, with simple, like as simple as the game is, it's very easy to design a bot around it, and Dorje is very talented.
That is able to compete for 2 months afterwards. So it's all multipliers, right?
Yeah.
Just need to have a margin so everyone has the same shot, is my opinion. So
I mean,
maybe next time, yeah. Sorry for taking a lot of space here, but maybe next time release their changes earlier, or try to
Yeah, I mean,
give everyone a chance.
How many people think that would make a difference, especially for the mid to low tier kingdoms? I mean, let's just take a show of hands per se. Like, how many people think that more time would help, the kingdoms, or more players coming back to the game? Do you think that's reasonable? I mean, I think it would help for sure.
Oh yeah, more
I
time
think
is
it would
always
help
going to
too.
be
I
better
actually
for
talked to Persian King.
lower tier.
Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, the goal is always
Yeah,
to get the changes out as fast as possible. The issue is getting that balance there, and then getting everybody to that's working on the changes to kind of agree that nothing is horribly broken. Coupling that with a lot of the end of age push that the people who are working on the changes actually do when they're playing, and sometimes those things lag behind. But there is talks of trying to get that out as fast as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, I have some other, I mean, there's some other technical issues with that aspect to it as well. I mean, they're some of the most talented people in the game, obviously making the changes and balances, but at the same time, they're clearly taking advantage of their position, as you said, by, making that final push at the end of the age to capture as much points as possible on the war win or land or honor or net worth chart, whatever their goal is for that age. I mean, don't you think maybe the community needs a dedicated team of Muga employees that maybe are not playing the game but are still passionate about it and know enough about it to make some changes ahead of time?
I'd say that's one way to go, but you can also post revise like 4 weeks into the age, and then final 1 week before the age is over. It doesn't have to start on the changes the last couple of weeks and then get stressed out like last age per se. I mean, that was a major overhaul, right?
But yep,
had we just had
weeks doing that.
Yeah, and everyone, I think the majority at least, which is not necessarily the same thing as everyone, likes what happened.
I don't agree. I think if changes come out whenever they come out, I mean, these number crunchers, I mean, these people are basically in this conversation, except me, because I've never calculated. I follow the gut, or like this age, I told my crew, you know, what do you want to play? We had avians, we had some stupid idiot playing an undead halfler like Palo. I mean, that's stupid combination, but okay, if you want to play, you play it. We had a dark elf undead. I mean, we had different kind of thing. I mean, I think the majority, I mean, take 5 kingdoms out, nobody cares. We're playing for fun, and we just take whatever we want to play. It doesn't matter if we would have the changes 4 weeks before or 2 days before.
You have a
Pick what.
completely different goal, though. You have a completely different goal. So if you want to play and you want to win the
But
land,
we won though. We won though with that goal. We took it relaxed. We didn't even have any barracks. We didn't do anything. We don't wake up at night. Still, we won. I mean, it's all about, you know,
I'm with
we
you,
didn't
Mansur.
aim for the, we didn't aim for the Warwing crown, but we got it anyway. So you can win without being these number crunchers and dedicating your life to Utopia. I mean, everybody has families now, jobs and everything. I hardly have time to play. We do 12-hour waves. That's what we do. We
Yeah,
play.
but you're saying that it's not like advantageous to be active or to plan.
Yeah, you can have advantages, but I just say
Well,
that
you can.
90% of the Utopia community, I don't think they care so much.
Well, you can win a war with
They
crown
just want to have
just
fun.
relaxing, but you know, yeah.
Sorry?
I mean, you can win an honor and Warwind crown by having fun, but if you want to win the land crown, you gotta crunch those numbers, man.
No, I don't. You wouldn't have won the land crown at all if Barco just decided to dump their pool. You would have been behind them. You would have been behind
you are
them.
right here in part, in my opinion, but you have experience, right? You played it for as long as anyone in this room.
Yes.
The issue is that other people have not had that time in the game. They don't have the experience. The wiki is out of date. There is knowledge that is not anywhere else that our experience gives us an advantage to have, right? On top of that, there is mechanics that doesn't help the people that are behind. So I think that knowledge that they lack, right? There is not much. There is no shortcut to get to here. But
who cares about land crown these days? This is 2 or 3 kingdoms, right? Again, 90% of the kingdom doesn't just play for the fun of it. They don't want to do the number crunching. They want to, I mean, 90% of the people here play for the people. I don't play this game because I think it's so bloody fun. I care because the people I play with, those are the people I want to come and chat with and so on. The game is just secondary now. And that's been like that for the past 30 ages or 40 ages.
I can agree with that. This is probably the only game where I actively talk to people from other countries. That's pretty interesting. I thought that was interesting when I was, I think I was 14 when I started playing. And so like that's just cool to see, like, be able to talk to people, get to know people from other countries.
I agree, but again, we're talking from our perspective. If you are new to the game or have 2-3 years in the game, you enjoy talking to people as well. But if you get fucked, there's a big chance that you do in a war, and 3-4 people in your kingdom, they just leave. They don't have the structure, the infrastructure that we do, that we can just, okay, this player quits, okay, let's get a new one. The leadership, there is so much that can improve on the game, and we all love the game, right? So I think, I don't know.
I definitely
sorry.
No, yeah, that's fine. I definitely would like to see things like, obviously, I don't know. There's no way to really update Utopia, right? the very core of it, you can't change what it is and make it more appealing to the younger generations. Just can't be done. But like, you just keep making interesting changes, keep trying to bring back older players. Hopefully those guys have, kids or whatever they can bring in. That's honestly probably the only way you do it.
Smiles in the house.
I think the browser games and phone games, they have never been as big as they are today. And Utopia hasn't changed really, except for mechanical wise over the, I don't know, for as long as I remember. You can incentivize spreading the game on Facebook or talk about it with your friends at work or in school. And then they ask, how much time do you need to dedicate? They ask, okay, is there an app? Okay, can you play it from your phone? And it's not optimized for that. It's not up to date yet. So I think definitely that the game and the player base can grow, and there's a lot of potential that is untapped there. And the more players that are in the game, right, the more fun the 10 of us will have, or how many we all have in this room.
Yeah,
So,
Damn right.
definitely true.
But then you need developers that can actually code stuff, right? So
No,
that's,
you need developers that don't actually play the game and actually trying to make the game instead.
Yeah, Kage's working on it. He's having fun with it.
Dude, I'm in the official design team for Utopia, and like, oh my god, it's so hard to get any feedback. Seriously.
I know.
Don't get me
we-
started, Elmo. I pretty much started that channel and that team essentially, and yeah, it's like pulling teeth. Forget about trying to get
Yep.
stuff out of Muga. I mean, it's hard
Oh,
enough to
God.
get people to put their time in, to get things done.
Yep.
Cage has been nice enough to put a lot of his time, despite having his first child, into getting this app going. So, it's no surprise that it's taking him a long time to get this game coded,
No.
especially with the way the back end of the game looks already. It's a friggin' disaster.
But seriously, like, not even just the game. Like, the monk bot, right? Utopia bot, the icon. I gave them to them. I gave it to them. I gave them a color chart, and they don't use it.
No, that's
like,
that's
just
pretty sweet.
just replace it. Seriously, just replace it. But no, they don't. They don't even bother. So I'm like, what am I doing? It's like a hobby.
Yeah, and I mean it's
So,
up to them to make the final changes to the game. I mean, until they relinquish more control, um, it's going to take a while, I think, for David to do that. But he has shown some signs of progress. Will it be enough before the
Very
game
slowly.
dies completely? We'll find out.
Oh,
All right, guys.
God.
That's what we talked about some of the things that we liked about the age. What did we hate? What was the worst thing about this age?
Worst thing.
The winner just had the most berries, and everyone knew that as soon as the age started.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, Sap's FFW is pretty straightforward, saying about what he was going to play. Pretty sure he actually told us what he was going to play, and they played it. So that should have been no shock to him. I mean, how many times, Smiles, were we saying, fairies, gnomes, halflings, dark elves, like, not enough of those were taken. Just, I have the survey of the world if you guys want to look at it, but it's pretty sad. Some of the most powerful choices weren't even taken.
No, that's the problem is, like, if you pick the powerful choices, the powerful combos, no one would just war you. Like, nobody would. People would just CF you all the time.
But that's impossible. One of the issues today is that you can't CF someone. If you wave them when they are in range, you can force them to war you or farm you out to you.
And inherently, that's not necessarily healthy in and of itself either, because we ran into that issue, I think, twice this age, where they just would refuse to send a ceasefire, and we were sitting there with hostile, and they were just throwing ops at us the whole time, so we couldn't even move on. We were literally stuck with this kingdom until someone waved us and gave us a button, and that took a minute, and it took us losing I think 5-10% of our net worth per acre before that happened.
Ouch.
You get stuck in a cycle and you can't get out of it.
Yeah, especially once that
It's
bigger
just-
kingdom starts dominating you. I mean, you can take so many waves. To be honest, one wave is too much if it's planned properly.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they hit your
Absolutely.
TMs, you got no population. During the last 2 weeks, we had I got hit multiple times, and our entire TM crew got hit multiple times over like 3 or 4 days. Every other day we would get hit and waved, and then we explored back up. It's not hard to explore. It's not hard to dice up those acres back, once or twice. But after that, it gets hard, especially if you're trying to actively war a current target that just refuses to do it.
Yeah, but it's a tough balance. If you allow people to run away too easily, that's the meta you will have. Nobody will really war except they will bottom feed or whatever and try to be in guaranteed positions.
Yeah, that's a
To
good.
be fair,
that's a
though,
great
this age
term.
had more wars than many previous ages.
I have to
So-
say, I think the 9-9 is the new top record for not only undefeated wars in a row, but also number of wars in the age.
Didn't Ascension have like 10
Not
wars
necessarily. Yeah.
ages ago?
Yeah, I think it was
Was it 10
5 or
wars?
6 ages.
I was in that kingdom for that age, I'm pretty sure. So maybe it was 9 or 10, but they weren't undefeated. So let me just
No,
say
not at
that
all.
they were not undefeated.
That does actually bring up a good point, though. Like, so one of the hardest things right now is that like you're stuck in a bracket, and there's no way to lower yourself to get back into like a healthier war range. So you can enter range, but you're gonna torch half your honor doing it. That would be probably a unique, good way to actually allow kingdoms to get back into warring range, so they don't get stuck up there at the land count and then have to keep dumping their pool just to keep exploring up.
You can just pick orc and you like don't care about honor.
That's
One-
also true.
One of the solutions to that is to reduce the acre side war win bonus.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was.
Yeah,
gonna
I think that's the H93 changes. Like, so you can just pick honor or land, so you can stay small, right?
Yeah, that would be awesome to see the monarch having control, kind of the outcome of the war in terms of the bonuses, so like provided. I mean, it'd be cool if you could pick a science bonus or something. Why not?
Yeah.
Another factor which we have seen in the revised is the elite net worth value. I don't think we will see standard net worth per acre above 300 going to next stage with the figures as we see. Maybe because the base was increased, but definitely it will keep the ship tighter. People around the same acres will be in range of each other, regardless of how many elites they have.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I saw that, in playing from Ghetto Vets, we were all human for the most part of the core, and science was key there, and we were all just pumping elites until the end of age. Well, the people who were actually playing, I was totally like just dogging it most of the age. But, we had guys above 500 net worth per acre, higher, who had mostly elites for army.
That's probably one thing I didn't like about the stage is the fact that you pretty much had to go elites. You couldn't have specs, and if you did, you were at a significant disadvantage. Just personally,
I
I
have to
didn't
disagree there. Actually,
Yeah, I agree. Disagree as well.
like so I just like I know a while back, you had the elves, they always had the spec bonus. I think it's nice to be able to have those options, not necessarily to be forced to go one way or the other. I just like having the option to choose. Like, if I do this, there's going to be it's not going to be such a huge raw number penalty for it.
Yeah, so the reason I disagree is I had a couple wars where I looked at the information and they had about 30% bigger, but they pulled all of their attackers into specs. So both kingdoms had 5 to 6 unbreakable thief mages, but their attacker core had this insane number of specs. And since neither attacker core could break the other thief mages, and their innate sustain in specs was going to just massively crush our core, there was and their thief mages were 20 to 30% bigger, but on the same defense of ours. They innately had just insane TPA and WPA advantages over us, such that we would have horribly farmed out if we tried to war, given equal net worth.
Yeah, that's actually what we did as well. Our thief mages were all elite defenses, but our attackers were all specs basically, or half and half even.
And that's
Yeah.
definitely like high level like net worth manipulation, so that you can actually you know, so you can decide which bracket you're going to be in, and that's perfectly fair because that's obviously what the game is. But it is deceptive to, you know, lower ranking kingdoms. We personally, I'm in We Hurt, obviously not a super big name, but like I said, we don't look at it to that level. So we obviously ran into that, I think that twice, and we just got decimated because of it. But they did that as manipulation rather than just being like, whatchamacallit, I don't know how to word this, but like I said,
It's a
lower
hidden
kingdoms
power,
can't.
and a
Right.
lot of the good kingdoms specifically do design setups to hide their power like that, and that's why when you have a war that's seemingly equal, but one kingdom is able to hide their power,
Yeah.
it turns into a horrible farm.
Yeah, and it's obviously just not, that's not really fun for any of the warring kingdoms anyways. I know if they're just trying to grow to get to the back to the where they need to be, yeah, I get it. But like I said, this is not something I personally enjoy about the game.
Sandbag.
No, but it's always like you look at the elite, you know, net worth, and you go, no, that's a bit too much, you know. Like nobody actually, like I don't know why people don't look at net worth values for elites. Like I think that's quite important. Yeah.
Yeah, elite
And
net
It
worth
definitely
also,
is.
yeah, and it's also the fact that the conversion from specs to elites, like the double, you know. So you actually, like my kingdom actually grew in war because of that, and the kingdom who has all elites will just, like, you know, lose the elites and not have any more coming in.
You trade initial strength for
Yeah.
creating that gap to the enemy to demotivate them by min time, and then they have an option, right?
Well, because because of Wynn's warcast, people always look at the graphs and like it's more steadily, and specs they tend to hold their values a bit more because they convert to elites and then they die.
That creates diversity, right? If you start at peak performance, you can take down the enemy's strongest provinces, specs, right? And stronger elites. And I think there is a golden road there somewhere leading up to this age. Wasn't that bad. But this age, it just, the difference was double all of a sudden. And that made elites the only viable choice. So I'm intrigued to see how it goes going into next stage. It's definitely, without giving away our intentions here, it's definitely creating options.
All elites all the time.
Woo.
Oh geez, we have a time limit now.
Yeah,
we had a situation in this game where we came out of Endor ceasefire like 15, 16, 18 EPA, and no one would war us. Our net worth breaker is like 20 to 40% higher than equal-sized kingdoms, and so we're just forced to learn wave because there was no one above us we could war. Growing didn't actually get us a war. Learn wave. 10 days later, we're 6 EPA and 10 O specs breaker. Learn wave.
Yeah, but that's just how you build and how you run your kingdom. We've had that before, and if you specifically change the style and the way you pump, that'll change. For example, in Source Kingdom, like I said, he got 8 or 9 wars, or I think 9 wars, 9 wins, and that's a function of not over pumping compared to the competition around.
Nah, Suia got more wars because when someone looked to wave Suia, they didn't wave them. Suia's good, so you actually have to take some land. And then when they ceasefire you, they're a little bit smaller, and they're a little bit smaller, and they're a little bit smaller. Suia's the only kingdom in the whole game I land waved, so I can tell you that's just true.
Yeah, and then if they don't war you because you land wave them, that's your issue. If you want to wave them, you have to change your approach to them. Again, that's a kingdom issue, and we've had that happen multiple times where we stalled out with learning for 2 weeks because we're learning for 2 weeks, and you don't want to learn wave a kingdom that's 20% bigger than you because you will get horribly farmed. So you only learn wave kingdoms below you. They don't want to war you because you're better than them.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's not about their setup. It's about the kingdom name. It's about knowing who they are that leads to them also having the advantage of being smaller because nobody's learn waving them. So they have more books. And they have
someone bigger.
Well, learn waved everyone in range from 120% down.
It will be interesting though, with the GGP differences going to next stage. I think it will create a bit of a mix-up there. Somewhat wave in some form. I just saw that the room is ending in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I just need to restart the room, so I'll share another link. There's a time limit, as I said, on all these meeting programs, so there'll just be a short intermission. Everyone can grab some water, and then we'll come
All
back.
right.
So yeah, I mean, we got some time. So what do you guys think? Is there anything that we can do differently for next stage in terms of final changes? Should we let Persian continue to make changes to the game? I mean, how different was it compared to Hex? Or do we want to settle for Hex's watered down versions of the game?
No Hex, please.
I really like the Age. I think there's
Sorry,
a couple
Hex.
little balance things. Otherwise, it's super fun.
Yeah, so again, thank you so much, Persian, for all those things. We are running out of time. I kind of wanted to leave a little bit more time to touch on the combos and things, but we may as well just get onto it right now. So did anyone's combo choices live up to expectations, or anyone's combos not live up to expectations?
I know, like, towards the end of the age, we went up against a bunch of elves and shit like that, and we were surprised at how effective they were with their amnesias. I don't know, I can't remember which kingdom it was, but they devastated us and they wrecked our TM core because of it. We were down to 60% within the first 36 hours.
That was
and then
us.
we had no. Yeah. So yeah,
Yes,
Vince,
we
fucking
decided end of age to take every thief mage. We sent a sapphire and
Havoc.
set up havoc, and then full mana dump on declare into amnesia.
Nice.
And then
Yeah,
the next round was tornadoes.
Did you win?
Because you just crushed the enemy thief mages.
Yeah, that we couldn't recover. Obviously it's permanent damage. There's nothing you can do. You can't grow enough food anymore. You can't grow a bunch of things. You got to up your farms.
But-
you got to lose other buildings.
Yeah, but you could theoretically do the same back, right? If they made if they had
They had the Whoopie advantage at that point too.
The learn attacks, you could theoretically do the same thing.
Except it's when both kingdoms have 6 to 8 unbreakable thief mages to start, and one kingdom starts and just halves their WPA science, and this was the age where halving your WPA science takes you from 350% to 150%. I mean, it'd be different if it was 100 down to like 50, and then maybe you can land it. But when you're talking about that, it's not
totally. And like you said, the production science, population science, building efficiency, it all goes down the toilet.
So it was a brilliant strategy, and we tried to employ it the next war, and it worked kind of, sort of. We still ended up losing, but we were able to bring all their TMs down, but like 2 by the time it was all said and done. Before they had it to where we just didn't have attackers that could actually capitalize on anything we were doing anymore.
I sit here and smile because it's fun to see stuff not being the cookie cutter style warring, and more of that, in my opinion. Not necessarily the strongest, if the enemy expects it, but being able to do something unexpected and capitalize on it. I'm all for that.
And probably my favorite change is that they're adding the amnesia tracker to the whatchamacallit.
Oh yeah.
So that you don't have to get a SOS every time.
Maybe we should add an exposed thieves tracker or sabotage wizards tracker.
Yeah, more data, please. More data on the overlay. That would definitely.
I mean, it would definitely be great if we could add that to the bot, like so that we can do it in the op planner, like, hey, op these guys on this tick or this tick. Even if we could do that on our own, it's just extra work on our end.
No, but I mean visually, right? Again, don't think out of this group of 15 people.
Oh, right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I see this expose thieves, and I click it, and it says exposed enemy thieves. And I'm like, okay, what happened?
All right, guys, we gotta cut it short here. The timer is about to end. Here we go. We're gonna restart the room. All right, everyone. We are just on a short intermission right now. We're just getting everybody reconnected into the meeting room. Here we go. I think I'm going to lose my video on this one. I really need my phone to charge, and it's not in a good spot right now. So I'm just redistributing the link to everybody right now. For everyone that's listening live, maybe Persian Cat can help me do that. Looks like there's some lag in Discord right now. Thanks, Phoenix. Doing a new link right now, everyone. I'm just posting it. Here we go. It's taking a bit of time to get everyone done up here. There we go. There we go. There we go. Wow, it takes a lot of work. We got to figure out better ways to do this. View all, admit. All right, welcome back. Welcome. All right, it'll just take a few more minutes here. I think did FFW got to make sure he gets back in here. There we go. Geez, I got to figure out a better way to.
So we're gonna have like a minute break.
Yeah, I think.
As everybody rejoins.
Yeah, once everybody rejoins, everyone just take like a minute or two just to grab some water or something.
All right.
And
I'll see you soon.
we'll be back shortly. Short intermission, please, everyone. There we go. Smiles, you got the link there. Thank you, Persian. All right. Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty interesting age so far. We got a comment here. I'm just going to use this time to look at some of the comments that people are sending me. Where is it here? Phoenix says, definitely no hex, please. Keep Persian. He made it more interesting. Smiles was the amnesia utilizers, apparently. He decimated us with it. So there you go. So apparently, Smiles did a good job.
He did as well, yeah.
Taking him out. So good on them for that. Let's see here. What's going to say?
We were also quite hit by Sadira, I think, the Kingdom using amnesia in a proper way. So it was used a lot.
Welcome back. Yeah, so apparently Atlas says, Smiles, that you're the amnesia utilizers, but we know that Shia and Syndicate was also using amnesia as well later on. So I mean, they were taking advantage of it as well. I mean, that's the stuff I like to see. I mean, Mickey mentioned it as well. Saying how he liked how everyone was using different unconventional strategies. And I like to see that as well. I mean, that's part of why we're doing these podcasts, why I do the podcasts regularly, generally throughout the age. It's something that's fun for everybody. All right.
Amnesia used to be pretty popular though, right? Like you could recover your books or whatever, like over time, but like a war.
Yeah, but it was a permanent loss of books at one point, which was just devastating. The same way learns in war used to be devastating to attackers.
Yeah, now it's permanent, but before I think it was temporary, right? Like an amnesia wave. Yeah.
I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, so the original amnesia wave was it put your books into retraining.
Yeah.
When you actually had training per tick, and then you lost like 20% of what didn't go into retraining.
Oh,
Exactly.
so it became unallocated again.
No, it was before, when you actually had to buy science, it was you
right. I remember that.
Lost the books,
Yep.
and it put 80% of the
yep.
damage in retraining. Yeah.
Yep. I remember that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Sonia,
that was a bad design.
Sonia has a funny design note here. It would be fun change. Let everyone have 2 provinces so the game appears to have more people. Boom, new player. Oh, Sonia. All right, gotta love Utopia chat.
You'll have four with 2 on Mentor. You'll have 4 provinces to manage. Nice.
Now
Nightmare
you're
actually
thinking.
used to be the same way. You
Like
permanently
about that.
lost troops from Nightmare.
Like about that, like I feel like some of the new players should join like some of the top kingdoms first before filling the ghetto kingdoms, right? Like it's so hard to recruit people that like you see these ghetto kingdoms getting new players instead of you. It's just like you rather teach them versus them going to the ghetto kingdoms.
You have to give guys like Cell some credit though. I mean, he built a pretty decent kingdom despite, all their war losses. I mean, he has some pretty good players in his kingdom. He's got a good population on his Discord server. He's got all the elements needed to create something special there, but he just doesn't have the leadership skills or the knowledge of the game to run a 25-person kingdom in a warring situation like this. I mean, he just doesn't have the experience right now.
The people
Yeah,
in
but he does
between.
have all the time and all the time to and the activity to do all that.
Indeed, he
Okay.
does.
He does.
I don't know. I haven't done recruiting of more than 2 people since 2015. So
Yeah, so like you're competing against kingdoms that have like steady diet of people and players. Where like if your players have started retiring and stuff, it's hard to recruit new people.
Yeah, I think the biggest the biggest thing that people don't understand is how much time Utopia takes actually, and like how time sensitive it actually is. You gotta wake up now.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
At
again,
least we got the setting system now, so that takes a little bit of the edge off.
yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
sitting in mentor is probably one of the best features that have come to the game in recent history. I mean, it made it so much
Yeah.
easier for all the higher end players that have lives now, or kids especially. I think when most of us started this game, we were 15 or younger, or below 20. Now most of us are like 30,
Yeah.
40, older even, with kids. And
Yeah.
some of us with more than one job.
Dude, it's like there's people like in my kingdom, my previous kingdom, have grandkids, so
Yeah.
depends.
Yeah,
Definitely
so-
see the age in the players nowadays. I'm only 26, so I can't talk too much, but
You're 26. Oh my god.
yeah. My first age was 32, I think. I
Oh,
joined
wow.
into a fairly good kingdom back in the day, and then I played a few ages, and then I ended up my internet went out because I obviously didn't pay for that shit back in the day,
Nice.
and then my account got deleted. I don't even know who the kingdom is. I don't know who those players were, but that was super fun back in the day. And then I ended up joining again probably like 5 years ago, and doing it ever since, off and on.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm just
Combos.
reposting some of the combo information here. Does anyone have that list of the participants again? I forgot to save it before we
I
left.
didn't say that.
That's okay. I think everyone kind of knows.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Nice. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Tony. Perfect. All right. So yeah, great job on the changes, Persian. Let's talk about some strategies. Did your strategies that you set up for your kingdom, did that work for you this age? How did that go for everyone?
It didn't actually. What I expected did not come to fruition. So we had to actually swap, change our strategy mid age, and yeah, it worked pretty well actually. After that, we didn't lose after that. So
I'd say ours didn't work, but I mean, it did what we intended. We just lost most of our wars.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Ours didn't work either. We couldn't fireball control most kingdoms even remotely, and that just spun into always being down in econ.
Yeah, and that's again, it's good to see some of the standard strategies no longer functioning correctly, because again, it means we're making some mechanical changes to the game that are actually making some impact. People can't just stick to their regular guns, except for FFW. I mean, it's going to be hard to get sandbagging out of the game, but it's just a reality of understanding of the game and just experience.
Yeah, on that note, starvation was actually semi-viable if you paid attention to when people were on. That was kind of nice. We were able to get that off more than once this age.
Oh, especially against lazy players as well, even if they are on, but they're too lazy to cast Nature's Blessing or something, or keep it cast.
I think the problem was vermin.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, vermin's just strong. Yeah, vermin and gluttony is enough to start the starvation. If you can happen to land drought too, that's just batter, or not batter, fucking icing.
Yeah.
Wrong word there. But yeah, no, it was nice to be able to see that, because starvation can be so strong, but you can rarely ever get it to actually do anything relevant because it took so long to get their food down without wasting a bunch of stealth.
Yeah.
So seeing it on a mage op do
Starvation is-
50% damage is nice.
I think starvation is only really a thing this age because of the amount of dwarves we have. I mean, if we go back to the undead meta again, starvation
Oh
is gonna go
yeah.
away.
Yeah, but I mean, you can do it on anyone, and that's what's nice about it. Because, like I said, if you get gluttony and you happen to land out, or you do a MB wave on them beforehand because you're doing other things, you're trying to land stuff, then it opens up the option, and that it's just nice to have that option there. Especially, we started keep trying to do a tracker of whenever we seen people on, we would tag them to see what their hours were. So we would try to actually incorporate that.
So Phoenix
I have to
says,
say though, we did actually use starvation strategy in age 91. And what we found is that it actually works better on undead kingdoms because they don't have a large pool of
Yeah.
food to begin with.
yeah, exactly. Just one thing I wanted to pull
Yeah,
out
and that's
from
actually true because there has to be some non-undead there.
And just one thing I wanted to pull up here. Phoenix says
Sorry.
Mr. Dan's mom was actually playing in Atlas. With the new changes, it was really hard to set a good strategy initially, but by mid-age, things became more normal and easier. We got raise kill out of the game. That's
Yep.
something. Yeah, I mean, that is something. Also, we were touching on MVs there. Green Shields wanted me to point out that Shia liked to use MV a lot, maybe too much. I believe Green Shields was MV'd 17 times in one war, which he says is excessive and probably unnecessary. I think he's leaning at poor usage of mana there. So we'll let Shia answer that question. Shia will be doing a Kingdom profile and end of age review with me later on when he's free. I got to submit him some questions actually to take care of that. So let's move on to the War Crown now. Saps FFW, what happened to 4-4? How did that War Crown get taken away from you? And Mansoor, what the heck did you do to sneak up and snatch the crown away like that? I mean, I think we all know what happened. A couple of people are going to say, "Hey, they got a bunch of easy wars. They farmed out the same kingdoms a few times in a row, and that's what got them up there in the contention for the Warwind crown." Saps, do you have anything to say about this before I just let Mansoor go off?
I think for the benefit of everyone, me and Mansoor should just not answer this question.
Oh no, but you don't understand. I think Mansoor
This
wants
is how
to.
we get the views.
This is 6% of the content for this particular show.
Oh man. Oh, Mansoor, are you there right now? I really hope you are.
I don't think I see him.
Uh-oh.
He
Oh
might
no,
be
he's down
muted.
there.
Yeah, he
No,
is.
he's here.
Yeah,
He's just
he's there.
silent.
He's probably just doing something right now. So what did you guys think about the Warwind crown? Oh, there goes Mansoor. He just left the meeting. Maybe it is better for the community if he doesn't talk about it. I think he had some strong words for you, FFW. Definitely.
And I have the same for him, so I think we best not
Oh no, he's
answer
back.
that question.
Can you hear me now?
Oh
We
yeah.
can, yes.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
All
okay,
right,
let's
Mansoor,
start.
you have the floor.
Ring the bell.
Yeah, no,
Ding,
I
ding,
don't know. What do you want to know? I mean, we
Tell us a story, a good one.
So
we didn't
Mansoor,
have any.
a lot of people are
Yeah.
saying, Barco was your former kingdom, and they're hinting at some sort of collusion there. What was that something? Like, was it just a bunch of free wars that you rode to the top? Like, what was going on there? Because there's a lot of speculation around Sui. I mean, there's a lot of people who talk shit about Sui all the time. I mean, we see it all the time. Everyone's bashing Sui every age, regardless of what they do. Was this war arranged from the beginning, and was it just set up so that FFW couldn't take that crown? Is that true? What's your view on this?
I mean, first of all, I'll just say so much jealousy against Swedish people. I don't know why. I mean, we are 23 Swedish people, not waking up at night, not building barracks and everything like that. And then Smiles wave you when he's 25 people and we are 23. We have war arranged. He still waves you, and then he comes down bashing up on us that, oh, you're so coward, you're not warring us and blah blah blah. I mean, come on, guys. We are taking it easy, and that is, I think, why we won. We had 9 different contenders that we warred. We didn't war anyone twice. So it was 9 separate wars. It wasn't because of Bark, or it wasn't because of the Dreadful Fantasies Kingdom or whatever it was called. I mean, okay, our last 2 wars, they were easier than what we had the 7 before. But we warred Confessions of Lotus and a lot of other kingdoms, and we were
You're
always
saying that
down 2
Barco was
provinces.
one of your 2 easiest wars?
Yeah, because we had a lot of, we weighed up, understand, in envy and troops and so on in the last 2 wars. That's why they were the easier ones. All the other ones, we were down maybe 20% in troops. We were down 2 provinces. So even if you say, Smiles, that they're not good kingdoms, they're ghettos, and they shouldn't deserve to play the game, I mean, they're still people or
That's really
kingdoms.
specific.
So why did Barco agree to war you if you were up in troops and had double their war wins, and
You have to
that
ask
they had
them.
banned everything?
Yeah, you have to ask that
You
to
didn't
them,
ask
right?
them; it just happened.
We sent a dragon and then we waved them, hoping for war. We didn't even send out all our troops because we were unsure that they would war us. So when they started the dragon, we said, okay, let's get out with the troops. Maybe they will war us. We had other plans. We had plan B, we had plan C. Of course, we needed to find another war. I mean, they were in our range.
You're taking it easy at all. Sounds like you're trying really hard, actually.
Of course, I'm trying hard in the end when I see that the crown is actually there. But we didn't have any barracks or woke up in the night, or I have a gold member, fully gold member status for all of the people in our kingdoms. We don't do that. We take it quite easy. But of course, I'm not stupid. If I have 7 war wins or 8 war wins, of course I'm going to go for the last one too.
Nicely done, nicely done. So what's your plan for next stage to crown again, Mansour? I hear Atlas is sending back their players to Sway.
Yeah, I'm stepping down now because, it's too easy to win Warring Crown, so it's no challenge anymore. So, I mean, I think this is the last time that I taking charge. I mean, I had great help with my teammates also. This is not about me. Usually I haven't played that much this stage, to be honest. I've been working and so on. It's been a lot of work for me now that I moved back from Korea to Sweden. So other people from Atlas now, Fish, will take over, and I wish him good luck. Maybe it will be Svea or it will be something else, but yeah, I'm ending at least with a crown, and I'm still the one of the few that still has a quad crown, so this feels really good.
Nice. Yeah, that's excellent work and some nice words for whoever's going to be taking over Sui, Mansour. I think Sui is always going to be one of those kingdoms that everybody wants to beat, wants to war, wants to talk shit about. They're always top performers. They always sneak in right at the end too. I think there's maybe some method to the strategy you have of just taking it easy, not over pumping, not over trying earlier in the age, capping on many wars, as many as possible. And just having a laid back approach. A lot of kingdoms actually have that. Like Syndicate does that as well.
Yeah, it's all about strategy, Wind. It's all about strategy. I mean, that is why we won. I mean, Smiles can say he's the best warring leader in blah blah blah, but the figures, the fact doesn't show it. We had 9 wars and we won them all. We got the warring crown. We are the best warring kingdom in Utopia. So I mean, it's all about strategy. If you say we were ghettos or whatever, the game is designed that way so that you can win the crown both ways. We just took the smart way. So sorry, Smiles, I know you're upset, but don't hate us, hate the developers.
Hate you with jealousy.
So Barco, who never withdraws. So look at the Hitmonks war that we had against Barco, did withdraw to you.
I have no ideas about Barco.
That's because Barco will withdraw at the end of the age when they're losing, because that's obvious.
I don't know about Barco. You have to talk to. Yeah, you have to talk to Barco about that. But I mean, I have been kicked out from their private channel 5 years ago. I mean, years ago now.
Barco wasn't invited because they're ghetto.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
they're the only kingdom that has a quad crown. So I don't know if you can call them a ghetto, but okay, that's fine by you. I don't care. The thing is
that they got min-timed by 23 provinces.
Sorry.
They got min-timed by 23 provinces that don't run raids and don't wake up.
A lot of kingdoms did. That's why we are the best kingdom in Utopia.
Awesome.
I think I've never had a Barco war. I've never had a Barco war that was easy. Never.
No, it wasn't easy, but I mean, we still came up. We were princes against Viscount. We crushed their TMs. They had nothing. We propped them to nothing. So I mean, they were out. We could amnesia them. We could do everything. That honor, that stacks a lot. So I mean, it's not easy. I mean, I bet FFV can say that also in their wars, that how easy it was. It was like butter, you know, just propping those fairies just made me hard, honestly. I mean, it was so beautiful.
I have to I have to agree with you. I love playing rogue and I love doing props as well. I also feel the same experience when propping fairies.
Yeah. So I mean, they were done. They had no army after 48 hours, and it was mostly because of, I think that we came straight out of end of war CF, but also because we had so much more honor. And I don't know how motivated Barco was. I wore them a lot and lost a lot of times. I won. This was the second time we won against Barco, I think, but we lost a
Third
lot
time,
also. So
actually.
yeah,
I keep
third
count.
time.
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice,
maybe you know
nice.
better. We don't try so hard. Yeah.
Whoa, shots fired. All right, Saps FFW, do you have anything to say about the War Crown, or should we move on to the Net Worth Crown?
Don't really have anything to say about it. I mean, it's just a War Crown.
I mean, again, you know, still props to all three of you guys, Warbirds, 4-4, and Sui for being undefeated. Again, the true eternal warriors of this age, undefeated, kicked ass, killed the entire server basically. You know, I kind of wanted to post King, like everyone's stats, war wins and losses, but there was just some people at the bottom there that I think would not be beneficial if I posted that going into next stage. If they were to be identified, they would be very easy targets for everybody. Anyway, enough on that.
What's the wall records like at the bottom actually? Like, is it too crushing? Like, I know a lot of people quit because of that.
It's very sad. I would say at least half the server has less than 2 wins, or 1 to 5, 1 to 4, 2 to 6 was about the average. You know, and that shows with the high win counts of some of the kingdoms this age.
Yep. Okay.
Like I swear there was one kingdom I saw that was 0 and 8. I swear to God, I didn't even want to post who they were, and it was a full 24-person kingdom. You know, they may have been 25 at one time, but definitely don't want to point those out as easy targets for everybody next stage.
Well,
Yeah, but there I have to say something to you, Wind. I mean, it's quite disrespectful for to say that in a podcast. I mean, okay, you said they have 0 to 9 or 0 to 8. They didn't have a one win, and you said, how can that even be? How can you be that bad? I mean, come on, man. The people trying. Maybe they didn't try that hard. At least they're playing, right? At least they're trying to war instead of just sitting, not doing anything. So I think you should be a little bit kinder.
I also hinted at some collusion as well.
Can I interject here? I think a kingdom that wars 8 times and lose 8 times is I have respect them. Like, I have to respect them more than someone who just war once and win once. I don't know. Like,
exactly.
Like, not warring in a warring game is a bit lame for me.
No, exactly.
Anyway.
But I mean,
I haven't failed. I found 300 ways that did not work.
Yeah, and you know what, guys? It wasn't all just about pointing out how bad they are. I mean, at the same point, you know, I don't want people to be pushed away from the game by grinding out in wars that are strategically impossible to win. Also, I was pointing out the fact that there may be some collusion in the background, maybe some false kingdoms or fake kingdoms set up to give out war wins. That was more of the point of that conversation.
I think a lot of those kingdoms are just the older players who have retired mixed with some of the inexperienced kingdoms, because I've actually learned more from barely beating some of the kingdoms that are like 1 and 5 than warring and losing to a kingdom that like Suia or Emeriti could ever teach. I mean, a couple like Emeritis, for example, I know that they're going to beat me on activity. So if I'm looking at things, it's like, okay, what did they do better? Okay, well, this one was just activity. And when I look at some of the inexperienced or highly losing kingdoms, they're actually employing strategies that you guys realize if you had just like a little bit more activity to match us, we would have gotten crushed to this type of strategy.
But I think, you know, initially you spoke about how Dorje basically could play the game with his bots. And that's part of the issue, is that there is no interface that creates like a base that allows the player base to create like war on maybe not even grounds, because strategy is key, right? But you don't have the tools at your disposal. Every single kingdom has to reinvent the wheel, and it takes time to find that a round wheel is the best wheel, right? So I think improving the tools to for warring is one way to go.
Alacious,
I have to disagree there, actually. Like say like you use your bot to create the perfect kingdom, the perfect warring kingdom that will never lose, right? But then how are you gonna get the war in the first place? If people know you are the perfect warring kingdom, no one will war you, right?
We spoke about this earlier. You can stay in range indefinitely. Like my
I know, but
point
then
is that's not my point either. It was a fringe example of the other
okay.
end. The issue is that Wind mentioned a kingdom that lost 8 times and did not win.
Yep.
Maybe they were trying, right? But maybe they never had a chance because they never, they were so far below the other guys. If you have like a guide or just tools in the game that allows you to like, okay, this is template. This is how you make a wave. This is how to assign fireball targets. Some general pointers.
yeah, absolutely. I think
Yeah.
some type
yeah,
of guide
yeah.
like this is
Yeah, that
certainly
I agree.
required. And I've been
Yeah.
talking to Tom and the rest of the community about this. We need a guide for monarchs and war leaders, just to give them a brief overview of what they should be doing, how to arrange their op plans, how to set up priorities, how to set up your attacking waves and things like that. And there isn't just one way. Like fireball isn't the only answer for mana. Night strike isn't the only answer for stealth. Armies don't have to march all in quick succession within the same tick. Sure, that's crazy amazing if you could do that, but you know how hard it is to organize, let's say, even 12 attackers in a 1 hour time frame and have them march, let's say, more than one army, especially if it's not just a clear cut, oh, we're going to chain this guy and we're going to do it. Oh no, now there's 3 targets to chain and we're going to make them all sub 200 acres. So figure that one out. How is your net worth, how are your attackers going to do that to all 3 of them?
Or even just like how to ambush. Like one of the wars I told people to ambush like quite heavily, and a lot of people just start asking like how do I ambush? How do I ambush? I don't wanna bounce. I don't wanna bounce. Like, oh, come on. Like the game should be able to answer that instead of
And you know what?
relying on me.
It used to be brutally hard that way, even for the experienced players. You'd make one little
Yeah.
mistake or not round the wrong way, and all of a sudden you're 0.001% off and you failed the ambush. I have to give David props for correctly programming the ambush function. It does actually work. I used it all age and I did not fail a single ambush.
In Svea, nobody knows how to ambush, so we never ambush. Just go with it.
The winners of the War Crown, everybody.
But it's just in the bot, right? So
I don't think I use ambush either this age.
Yeah, and I have to say, the one thing about ambush, I mean, it's really situational. I mean, in most cases, it doesn't help because let's say, okay, good, you ambush, you bring back half your acres just before the enemy attacks again. In my mind, that doesn't really make too much sense.
It kills the troops. That's why it's like a night strike for attackers, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The acre is just a bonus.
You use it to destroy enemy offense. If you can't chain someone, but their offense is a little bit of a threat, if you just say, anytime this guy attacks you, make sure to ambush, and then at least one good incoming attack, you'll slowly bring down that guy's offense.
Yeah, and that's
what we
great
did, actually.
for those elite heavy armies. Perfect.
Yeah,
strategy.
and that's what we did.
Yeah, I don't think I use ambush because I'm just facing orcs every war.
Orcs are the best at ambush because they have like really low defense. It's like you send like one soldier and they all die.
FFV, if you start warring other kingdoms, then it will be other than orcs. Then you will also meet other kingdoms. Then maybe you can ambush.
I don't think I've used ambush more than once a war in like 10 ages.
Yeah,
need that
out of the 8 kingdoms I warred, well, out of the 5 kingdoms I warred, all 5 of them are orcs.
And remember, guys, acres is probably the least important thing in the game until the end, the very end.
Exactly.
or the very beginning.
Okay,
Yeah.
Wind. I have to leave now. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk and so on. Good show, everything. But now I have to celebrate.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much,
Yeah, thank you very
Mansur.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
congratulations.
You had
Good luck
great,
next
great,
stage.
great way to finish your age
Congratulations.
off.
Yeah,
Mansur,
thank you. Now I
Mansur
will celebrate
be
with a pizza.
retiring. Yes, the kebab pizza, the famous.
Kebab pizza.
Make sure you post a
exactly.
picture of that for us on the Utopia news, and I'll repost
I can
that
do
for
that.
you.
I can do when I'm
Thanks so
making
much,
out with
Mansur.
it. I can do that.
Oh God,
Okay.
this sounds so
Have a
hot.
good day. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye, Mansur.
Bye.
All right, so net worth crown. Could we have beaten 4-4? Was there any way to do that?
You can always get ahead first. I don't think you're getting ahead of 15 fairies that already have the lead, already have some honor.
Yeah, and we as we saw from the chart, they kind of took that lead right away, like year 3, between year 3 and 6, they were hovering around the top just after they took over from they basically took over from Barco, who was sitting on top, and they maintained that position pretty much until the end. I mean, no one else stood out as much as 4-4 did from the rest of the pack. I mean, they were on their own little trend line there, as seen by the data at the end of age. What are you guys' thoughts that Persian basically, gave them the winning setup? I mean, he did tell us almost exactly what their setup was in our first podcast before we kicked off the age. And FFW even told everybody he was going to do that. Do you think that maybe everyone should look more towards kind of balancing their kingdoms rather than going full-fledged, like Avian Orc, like Barco did, for instance? Is
So
it?
I'm gonna step in because the issue with their setup is getting people to war. Most kingdoms don't have the ability to or the willpower to force wars the way that they were able to and sit on people to honor for. The other thing is they are the one kingdom that when they're winning, they don't ever let off the gas. So they were able to get a 20 or 30,000 honor advantage over everyone else in the game that even if those people were running the exact same setup, they probably wouldn't have had that advantage. So leveraging a good player base and a good kingdom with a good setup is what allowed them to just walk over everyone. The best way to have stopped them would have just been these guys just farm someone else really hard. They've got an advantage over us. Screw this. We're not going to war them. And if everyone looked at that and did that, they wouldn't have been able to win the way they did.
Exactly.
I just wanted to point this message out here from Phoenix.
Well, they had 7-9 give them, double their land within a single war, and they also got that first huge jump of honor between them and the 3-3 and the.
Yeah, and like I said, it was very noticeable when you look at the charts. I mean, that's why I pulled up that land chart there earlier. And again, from Phoenix here, Barco got a min-time win by Atlas this age. They lost steam after mid-age this age. At least they continued to try.
No, you didn't actually say the message.
What's that? Oh, sorry. Yeah, this is the message from Phoenix here. Sorry, I'm just going to switch over to the screen again so everyone can kind of watch the subtitles here. Barco got a min-time win by Atlas this age. They lost steam after mid-age. At least they continue to try and never give up. You learn from your losses. No such thing as never lose. It's just the setup comes down to your player base. Also, Atlas don't bush much either. They utilize their bushes for chaining. Targets get bushed before chaining. After the first half of the age was gone, there was no catching 4-4. Thanks, Phoenix.
Yeah, I could see that Atlas, despite doing really well by mid and late age, could have gotten beat early. Avian Orc's gonna smash people start of age, and Atlas had like 16 humans, so that just makes sense.
Yeah, so great.
Yeah, 4-4 just had an amazing streak of wars and targets. I mean, 7-9 was just that kingdom that walked around feeding everyone one after the other. And
was it
just happened to get them first, so they got all of that beginning of the age honor and all of that land. They also got that massive farm out against Evolution, who I don't know any direct details, but it looked like they weren't really that interested in warring and just got forced into it by that sort of constant learn harass. And I mean, you can complain about Suia getting war from, Barco, their old kingdom, but, half of Evolution was playing in Merciless last age too. And then you got that second war against 4-5 after the 7-1 block. So they just had that 3 perfect wars in a row, got that lead, and then the age is done, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, it's perfectly visible by the trend lines that you see on the age-long data. I mean, it supports exactly what you're saying. And, to Evolution's defense, they're known for normally not taking wars that they cannot win, especially wars that they're getting beat up on. I mean, Sadir was always one to back away from a fight where it wasn't even, or if the hostile made it, unwinnable or seemingly unwinnable. I mean, she always wanted to enter war on very reasonable terms, but at the same time, I think she was looking to possibly prove something, and this was the age to do it. I mean, I think this was probably Evolution's best age ever.
They did all right.
Yeah,
First
and
age,
they ended
all
up
age,
in a pretty good
after
spot.
5 war wins. A lot of people had trouble getting past the 4th war win.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a problem for a lot of kingdoms. They have a lot of steam. They go through 3 or 4 wars, and then it kind of tires them out a little bit, especially when they fight really hard. Whereas the top tier kingdoms, like Mansour said, are really not trying too hard. I mean, FFW Smiles probably or Saps probably has some insight into this as well. You take it easy at the beginning. You don't want to seem like the super tough, ultra powerful kingdom. You kind of want to sandbag it, seem like you're kind of a lazy kingdom, not very active, with very little strategy. But then you ramp it up at the end of age once people start figuring out who you are and people want to prove their salt in the server. I mean, I
I
think,
would like to turn that around. It's a big effort to compete, right? It was summer age, it was insane changes, and all the respect to Mansur, I just don't think they were in it to win it, but they saw a chance mid-age and took it.
yeah, exactly. And, it comes down to being in the right place at the right time sometimes. That's what, life is about. And he even said it himself, they weren't trying at the beginning, and once they saw that it was in sight and they could grasp it, they went all out, pedal to the metal.
Yeah, but my point is that they were not. There is Kingdom out there trying to win it, and I don't think they're intentionally. Maybe, of course, I can speak for myself there as well. You don't tag before the first war win. You try to don't play your hand and show who you are. But
Yeah, and
I just don't see it.
that's partly why I'm changing up the schedule for the podcasts. Next stage, I'm just going to be tracking the wars kind of with my little charts there until about year 6 or even year 7 or close to the end of year 6. And then I'm going to start the podcast up again and really dive deep into some of the wars that are going on so we can kind of look at the other end of the warring spectrum. Should be some interesting podcasts coming up next stage. All right, let's talk about the Honor Crown. I mean, this again, 4-4 had an extremely strong performance. They pretty much dominated the individual province table as well when it came to Honor. I think, there isn't really too much to talk about here. Smiles really touched on it already about having those 3 perfect wars lined up back to back, where they took advantage of all that Honor, net worth, and acres. And I mean, it shows at the end of the game, they had like 14 or 15 princesses. So, fantastic work there, Saps, despite what people say about your strategy or tactics or whatever it is you do to win the game. I mean, that takes skill and determination.
Yeah, more
Definitely
fairies
didn't
you
do it
have,
alone.
more honor you're going to be able to hold. There was all the dwarves were still barren at the end of age, so just like any kingdom, attackers got nothing. TMs have everything. He just had more TMs, so he had 15 TMs. Everyone else had 10. He had 150,000 honor. Everyone else had 100,000.
Yeah, and I have to say that was the same. That was the same the last time I played in Ascension, and we had a decent age. You know, we had much more TMs than attackers, almost the same ratio. We won a lot of wars. We kicked butt, and at the end of the age, our TMs were stronger than a lot of people on the server. But you know, we had trouble finding wars at that point. I think because we had already kind of tagged and people knew who we were. I think we were at HM already, and Dowla told everybody who we were, and you know, it doesn't take long. There's so many snitches in Ascension that you know, somehow everyone finds out where they are beginning of age. Like it doesn't even make sense actually. You know, the last age I played there, someone knew who we were right away. Like it's just as if as soon as we started, someone went to SAPS and was just like, "Hey, this is Ascension."
I will
Zap.
say people know who we are because Kage and Says keep using their actual tags inside the province names.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's actually
So they figure us out every fucking age for the same shit.
nope,
Maybe
true
there's time
story.
to talk about tagging your kingdom with a unique ID that carries over to the next stage. Maybe you can have trophies and stuff shown by default. So there is no hiding, right?
That would be awesome, Mickey. And I mean, I have spoken to David about that in the past, and I think his biggest issue is figuring out a way to implement it.
Yeah, there is pros and cons there. It's not necessarily a good thing. It depends.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to be honest, Mickey, even if it was tracked internally only, and at the end of the age it was revealed or something, like, I'd be satisfied with that.
You should put it in the banners, like, you know, like hidden messages in the banners.
Yeah, speaking of banners, some larger taunt banners, right?
Yes, please.
Everyone
Yes,
Larger
please.
like
taunt
that.
banners. And they need to be more obnoxious too. Like I want it to like scroll down with you while you're scrolling down the page. Like, come on.
And while we're on this topic, I'd like, I think I suggested it a couple days ago, but we're only talking about the crown winners, right? They are the only ones being recognized. What about the runner-ups, 2 and 3? I'm not saying that we should talk about it in a podcast in the future necessarily, but
Hmm.
it should be recognized in, you know, the end of age
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean,
documentation.
2 and 3 were
Especially,
also Suia and Warbirds.
yeah, but that should also be
this is
known, you
true.
know, especially when they now reduce the amount of goals you can compete for. Only showing one kingdom and recognizing one kingdom to explore 35,000 acres for the runner-up kingdom, right? So I'm just saying, give more people more to play for, and condense the top field so they play versus each other on more equal terms. And that's my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean,
Did like a war score with bigger numbers.
I did kind of highlight, you know, some of those top three. I actually went down to top 10 in the podcast last night. So I did actually review them for everybody who did watch that. But we can
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
we can,
I think we speak a lot about it, but
yeah, we can just
in
take
the
a quick
official
look here.
capacity, it should be saved and stored. 10 years from now, you should be able to see it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is actually in the Utopia rankings section. You can actually go back there and look at the previous ages. It'll show the entire Hunt Top 100. So it is available here. I mean, here's a quick look at the list here. I mean, 4-4 Sway, Warbirds, as Smile said, you know, Templars, Evo, Old Timer Syndicate, Drama Bitch, which is Atlas, no, not Barco, which is Barco, and Divinity. So great job, guys, there. I do have some of the other ones as well, but for some reason it didn't open just there. Here we go. 4-4, Sway, Warbirds, Templars, Evo. Some pretty similar pattern there. Most honorable kingdoms in the world, Divinity ending with Barco, Atlas in there. It's like the top 10 is the same every time. So, I mean, you know, great job to everyone there. Let's look at net worth here. 4-4, Warbirds. Syndicate managed to sneak into the top 3 with Ghetto Vets, the #1 ghetto in the world, making it to top 4. You gotta play better than a 15-man kingdom. Come on, peeps. What's going on here? Look how small you guys are. Get up there. All right. And there's 2 wolf packs this age. I don't know what that's all about. But Fayette is not playing in either of them. And or maybe he is playing in one of them. I don't know actually. Anyway, here's a look at the Warwin one. Sway 4-4 Warbirds Evo making the top 4 again. As I said, I think this is one of their best ages ever. Atlas, Duck says Quack. We've seen those guys a bunch of times recently. Enigma, Divinity, great job, Persian. I mean, you made it to the top 10, being the master of the changes. You know, I was hoping you were going to be a little bit higher in contention, maybe even for the crowns themselves. But I know you guys don't always go super hard. You know, you guys have lives and stuff, and usually half your kingdom is sitting on mentor or sitter. So superb effort either way there. Um, great job to everyone. You know, there's not too much to talk about the honor or like, and again, the land crown, you know, it's pretty simple, straightforward, similar to the honor crown. It came down to having those perfect wars and having those dominating wars. So great job to the top three there. Um, did you guys think warring changed at all this age? Like, was there any significant changes to how war is conducted?
I thought early age was a little bit iffy in wars. I think you had really odd land net worth discrepancies. In our second war, we had 500-acre ferries that were higher net worth than like 2,700-acre orcs. And that's a bit more of a stretch than you ever used to see or even saw later in the age. So that got really awkward.
Yeah, I think this was kind of an outrageous age, you know, in terms of how everything was played out. But it was nice. It was like an OP age where everything was kind of OP, everything was really strong. We had some nice combinations, great you know, great strategists, great leaders. Templars did really well. Shout out to Brutality from the YouTube chat here. Brutality managed to like push their way into, you know, into the world, especially you know, with what happened in Muga with
I didn't think
Smiles'
anything
last
really
minute win.
changed though for how wars were run. I thought all the same strategies were all the best.
Yeah,
So
and you know, that comes, the meta really still hasn't changed either. But again, it was nice to see some people employing some different tactics. It brings a fresh perspective to the game. What about combinations? Was anything really that strong?
I felt like I had the best core in a long while. Orc Dwarf was insane this age.
Yeah, I mean, I think Persian pointed out that anything dwarf was going to be extremely powerful. You know, and that was, you know, something maybe we could have seen more of this age, especially like Dwarf Undead might have been a good combination, but nobody really played that very much, and Starvation ran rampant this age, so maybe some people would have been good to choose one of those. What about Fei Fei? Was it really that strong? Was there anything better than that?
Fairy was pretty interesting. I thought one of the more underlooked benefits to Fei Fei is how easily it could run only 20% guilds while sitting out of war and yet be pumping better than anyone else, have room for a lot of out of war builds like forts and watchtowers. So they could pump while being completely safe, whereas like your halfling might be on 60% guilds and be bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the unique things about double fairy this age is that they could, even in war, they could fucking massively pump their wizards that they really needed to if we were having trouble breaking that one guy. We only ran one double fairy this age, and we probably should have ran at least 2 or 3 just for the
One
ability
thing,
to pump your
so
WPA.
one thing I like
break.
to point out is like I think I remember earlier in the age, a lot of people were like talking about like whether to slay the dragons or tank the dragons. It was kind of funny.
We had one kingdom actually tank our dragon, and they made the wrong decision. That was one of the 2 war wins we got this age.
Okay, yeah.
It's 'cause
Like
they
we,
took the dragon
oh my
before
god, yeah. Like slaying and tanking dragons, like it's not like a brain dead decision this age, and I thought that was a really good change actually.
Dragons played a certainly an interesting role this age.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I will say and this is more. I think this happened last stage, but like especially towards the end, certain dragons like they become kind of like they become very situational. Like we had a kingdom that would keep tanking our rubies, and then we realized that we needed to stop sending rubies.
Yeah,
is what it was, because that 10% ME doesn't mean a whole hell of a lot if it's not actually bringing them within breakable or bringing us back into EB. So it's like
it's like you get hit twice, you still get hit twice. 10% wouldn't mean much sometimes.
Ruby is an excellent Dragon 2 tank. But if you're gonna pick one to tank, Ruby's probably the best one to tank.
Emerald's the most tankable for sure.
Really? I assume the unit losses would stack up too much if you just sat on that.
Nah, because an Emerald doesn't actually do anything to your TMs.
Yeah, so
That's
an emerald
That's
usually pays off in about 36 hours to kill.
Yeah.
So if you're going to tank it for more than 36 hours, it's usually best to kill.
Yeah.
But I would actually argue Topaz is probably the easiest to tank because it just hits your BE.
I mean, it
But,
it
that's
really
my
depends.
personal opinion.
It really depends, to be honest. Like the decision making in my kingdom all comes down to whether they can send another one so quickly and so readily. If they can send another one in like 2 ticks, like what's the point in killing it?
For the 2 ticks after that, when you kill the next one.
Well, to be fair, like we ran a like econ heavy kingdom, like econ based kingdom, and we could fully fund a dragon like in 4 to 6 ticks and like by the end.
But what
Yep.
if
So-
someone
End of age, we were the same.
fireballed you?
Sorry.
Big.
I mean,
Like, how did you get around just being greeted, rioted, fireball?
Oh, it was already we were already being rioted and greeted.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
like
it's with Riot and
econ heavy kingdom's biggest issue would be the Amethyst Dragon with a bunch of amnesias or learn attacks. I mean, that would just devastate your
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. So like in the early age, like we had this like crazy idea of just sending an amethyst every 3 ticks. So like after like 48 hours, you'll get like double this science damage basically.
Yeah, I mean, end of age, my fairies had 70 mod WPA, so there wasn't fireballs landing on them. So when you have an econ
Yeah,
setup that has those mixed in, that's
Yeah.
how you fund in a few hours.
Yeah. And the only way to take it down is basically like sending the amethyst because it's permanent damage. There's nothing you can do about it.
What about Dark Elf, guys? Why didn't we see more Dark Elves this age? How come Dark Elf wasn't utilized more?
wasn't their numbers just really weak? The raw
I
numbers.
can't remember.
If I remember correctly.
Uh,
I
Dark
think that's what
Elf-
it was.
Yeah, you had only like +1 defense on the elite, so everyone's a little bit against that. I think a lot of people recognized that there wasn't going to be any turtles at all. So why do you need Nightmare if every attacker can quad every attacker and there's going to be 0 exceptions?
And the penalty
I
of
think Apis
basic
got the right
thievery
answer
ops.
there is if someone's got low defense and you Nightmare them, they get even lower defense, and then your fairies can farm their honor because you get a way faster honor when you're attacking than when you're opping. So.
Oh, absolutely. Great insight. All right, everyone, we're just going to we're running out of time here on this call as well. I think we got about 8 minutes left, but I'm going to open the floor to an open talk right now. Anyone wants to bring up any topics at all, this is the time to do it, and then we will be ending the call after that. Does anyone have any final points they want to touch on?
Yeah, I do. I think like I want to stress about the like how to keep the player base actually. I see a lot of kingdoms, they're saying, oh, you're not good enough and we're gonna race kill you. You know, you're not active enough, we're gonna race kill you. Or people just talk trash about how like, oh, your strategy is subpar, blah blah blah. You're not you know, like, but it's like I think that's counterproductive to the game, I think, as a whole.
Definitely sportsmanship. You know, sportsmanship plays a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, like just because like someone is like not, you know, number 1, doesn't mean like you have the right to trash talk them and like.
And that they're not trying,
basically.
like Mansoor pointed out earlier when I mentioned, you know, it was sad that some kingdoms had 0 wins and like 6 to 8 losses. You know, maybe they were trying really hard, but they just didn't understand how to war. Like they were warring up every time, warring down troops with poor TMs. Maybe they grew too much and they couldn't do anything.
But it's like the labor market there, right? You need to allow people to move around easier. And it will optimize. You will find players that have an understanding to play at a certain level, and you will not get race killed. The alternative, like it's very hard to move around, and it's really hard to create a new kingdom for you and your friends. Have to talk to the mods. Just basic stuff needs to improve to keep the player
Yeah.
base.
Yeah.
Maybe a link, someone wrote here on Muga Gaming right now, oh, we have a Facebook, like some basic commercial stuff.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't have to be that hard.
Muga actually has a number of things. They have a Twitch account, Twitter, Facebook. They got something else as well, like the thing Tom posts things on. That's on the main page there. The blog, the Utopia blog is there as well. And now the news site is even there. I just don't really have anyone to update the data as much as I like, but it still looks better, to be honest, than some of the other websites that Muga has. For the little effort
But
that
I
they
mean,
put into it.
even for old players like myself, I've seen incentive in asking around more if I had, for example, 2 weeks mutual gold account. If I get someone to click my link and come join the game,
Yeah, something like that would be
we
nice.
both have the benefit of gold for 2 weeks,
Yeah.
etc. It's just a unique invite link or whatever. Maybe
I seriously, like you've seen them in like thousands of these mobile game apps, and they work. Like invite a friend, you get something else,
Yeah, exactly.
It's the strategy is like the marketing's already there, like the blueprints. You just do it.
Yeah. There's just so much untapped potential, and I hope someone listens to it in a position to change it. Because browser games and especially phone games has never been larger than now, and the entire market, like, it's just not nerds playing anymore.
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time for Utopia to come back. This is the time to increase the player base. We need everyone on board for the community to do that. And Muga has to be on board as well, especially David. I mean, he needs to let go of some of the control. He has done a good job recently doing a bit of that. I've never been able to get this close to the game as I have before, despite being in a news reporter position. So I think we're definitely making progress. I think everyone just has to maintain the course, and this is just one of those things we have to be patient with.
A few years ago, idle games were crazy popular all over, and that was my best in on getting new people into Utopia. I'm like, hey, it's like an idle game. If nobody abuses you, you can just keep getting bigger and more units and more of all your stats. Oh yeah, but then sometimes you go to war, and if you get chained and you don't release your stuff, you go to 0 defense and then you die. But other than that, it's just like an idle game.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you know what? COVID, despite all of its downsides, was great at bringing a lot of players back to the games. Just not very many new players. I mean,
that is true. 25 players out of 25 players in my kingdom, I think 7 are returning players.
That's
so
pretty good.
Good.
It's pretty good. And are they returning next stage?
And they're all returning next stage. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I noticed one thing I have to say is the player count didn't go down. A couple provinces disappeared at the end of age, but for the most part, we're still well over 2,000 players. So, I mean, we definitely need to work a little bit at a time to get that number up there. I think social media is definitely the way to go. We need more features in the game. We need the app to come out. We need David to unlock controls. We need the Muga staff to do a little bit more. We need moderators to have some more roles or something in the community. I don't know. We seem to have a lot of staff sitting in the Discord that don't really seem to do very much. I mean, if they are monitoring the forums aren't very active. I'm there all the time. There's only a handful of people posting there. It's me, Stratacastle, and a few other people who have different names. Like I think Smiles posts there under a different name. Yeah, there's a few others. Yeah.
Strato's my hero.
Yeah, he was great. I mean,
one of the issues
I still talk to him.
Is there is so many places for information. There is the Wikipedia, there is the Discord, there is every single kingdom's Discord, there is in-game, there is everywhere, and it needs to be like one.
I think you just pull
place.
it, right? Yeah. I think you just kind of concentrate into one. Just put it on Discord or put it on the wiki, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it just, we need a little bit more help from the community, and we need some guides to be in place again for leading wars, leading kingdoms, just basic stuff. Like
Yep.
the most basic things are the reason some of these kingdoms are failing. I see it every time. I random into kingdoms periodically just to see how they are, just to get into their Discord and see who's there and what's going on. And that's about it. I'm just trying to get a sense of the community and the feeling of everything that's going on there, to see what everyone's up to, and I get some good feedback from the people in those Discord channels. So yeah, I mean, it would be fantastic if the community would open up a little bit more and we had all that information visible and available to everyone. We are running out of time, guys. So any last minute comments from anyone?
No.
Perfect. All right. We're gonna just run this meeting down to the last few minutes of everyone either leaves or gets
Yep.
kicked out. So this is kind of like a free chat time. Looks like David, he just posted in here in Muga that he's actually had a back injury recently, so he hasn't been able to
I
sit
just
at his
have
computer.
this is just one of the things I've spitballed over the last several ages, anyways. And it's one of the ideas that came up to like try to bring all the kingdoms closer together. Has Utopia ever tried to actually like limit the total amount of land that's available inside the Utopia? Like
That's
to
actually an
where like
interesting concept,
Oh.
where if there was a fixed amount of land worldwide and the
it seems
kingdoms
kind of
had to compete
anti-fun,
for it.
but
But it makes sense because worlds don't have unlimited space. We're not living I mean, technically in digital space, it is an unlimited universe. But if you think about the world, if we were to use that as an example, yes, there is limited space. So maybe there should be a cap on total land available in the world. Maybe that would change warring significantly.
and then it would change land crowns too, because you're not just exploring up; you have to actually fight for your land.
That's
Exactly.
true.
Exactly.
Raise the server to 0.
What
Now
do you
it does introduce a little anti-fun because obviously
smiles?
you can't just grow and grow and break away. But like if you're talking about balancing the game, that's probably the biggest way you do it, I think.
Awesome. And on that note, I think that's a great point to think about. The meeting is about to end shortly, so thank you everyone for participating. I look forward to our next stage. Thank you everyone so much. All right, so that was the Leaders of Utopia podcast. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. I want to thank everyone who joined us, who viewed this podcast today. It looks like there were some issues with YouTube receiving the stream. I got to look into this a little bit more and talk to YouTube about this and complain a bunch. I don't know what's going on with their buffering, but I think it does work. I'm going to double check the video feed. I am recording this on my PC live, so if there is any problems with the live recording, I will get that up and posted as soon as possible. So thank you so much to everyone who joined me on this podcast today. And unfortunate that those who couldn't make it. There will be more podcasts, as I said, in the future. So definitely make sure you tune in. Just don't expect them to start the age. I'm going to try and throw together a podcast, possibly me, Persian, myself, and maybe a couple of the other workcasters, or if anyone else wants to join, definitely reach out to me. We're going to be talking about final changes, which should be available soon. Likely the podcast will occur on Monday or even really late tonight if the changes come out and we have enough time to talk about it and we can rally enough people to talk about it. Definitely like to get as many people as possible in on it. So if you'd like to join the beginning of age conversation or the pre-age to age 93, please reach out to me and let me know. I'll be trying my best to get as many workcasts as I can on that so we can ask them questions as well. Thank you so much for everyone who commented in Discord and in the YouTube channel. We appreciate your support, and we want to build this community as much as possible. So of course, anything that you guys can think of to help David out, to help Muga out, to help all of the people who are giving their time to make this a better place, feel free to reach out to us. We're more than happy to talk about anything you guys want to look into, explore possible opportunities and options. I mean, there's plenty of room for growth here, and as Smiles said, this is a good time with more users than ever playing mobile games. I think the focus should be on getting that app out and making sure that it works, and possibly even making the Utopia site itself just more mobile friendly. So on that note, everyone, I'd like to thank you all for participating in Age 92, and I can't wait to see you all in Age 93. It should be another exciting age. Hopefully final changes will be out soon. I have that on good reference from an inside source. Final changes are coming. They are for the most part done, I believe. So don't fret. They are coming. it just takes a bit of time. Keep your eyes on the forums, keep your eyes on the server. David has had a back injury recently, so he hasn't been able to really sit at his computer, so he's been kind of inactive. So hope you get better soon, David. Again, thank you everyone for joining. This is your host, Wind, signing out. Again, thanks so much to all my special guests today. All right, everyone, have a great weekend.